Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Brian J.T. Watts here again with another episode of Come Together. Today we got a special artist, a special guest actually coming through, and we want to make sure that you are all ready to check him out. So in a few minutes after the opener, we'll be talking to C.J. Ward. This is the greatest game of telephone that has ever been played. Someone said the black man doesn't raise his kids or care for his family, and that message is still being told to everyone today. They even have us saying,
"We are not a monolith. We have various opinions and thoughts. We are much more than what we are portrayed to be by the media.
Even when we are the victims of injustice, we are still portrayed as the perpetrators. When it comes to the black man, there is an intentional plan to discredit the past, arrest the present, and destroy the future.
Something must be done, but nothing will work until we come together.
Brian Watts is the tutor that I didn't know I needed for my academic success. He was really a blessing to me in my continued education. Returning to school after such a long hiatus was really daunting, but he didn't make me feel inadequate about the comprehension challenges that I was having, but rather he was patient with me and he really helped me make sense of what I needed to learn. His attentiveness and follow-up to my progress truly encouraged me to excel, and for that I am forever thankful. Thanks, B.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we will be speaking to the president and senior counselor of the Ward and Wellness Services and the CEO and lead artist for CJ Ward Creations, Mr. CJ Ward. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing. I'm getting it done. Everybody asks that all the time, and since I am still a teacher, and some days it's great, some days it's less than great, but it's all good. So still trying to create that future, and I think a lot of people don't realize as teachers we're out there trying to make sure not just that we educate the kids, but that somebody's going to be there to take care of us in the future. So we got to make sure it's going down, no
Right.
doubt. So how's everything going out there? Where exactly are you right now?
Currently, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky. Now I'm going to tell you viewers that this is the first guest that I've ever had referred to me. And that's what made me feel like, hey, you know what? I might be doing good on this thing now, where people are like, hey, you need to interview this brother. So very happy to have you here. It's a lot of the episodes I did last year were people that I had met in different walks of life, different things that we got into. But you're the first guest that I've not talked to ahead of time, and so this is great. It makes me feel good that people are out here referring good brothers to good brothers. So it definitely feels good. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing. Let's talk about that first one. You have a lot going on, it seems like, which most guys do. The Ward and Wellness Services, LLC. What is that about?
So that's a company dedicated to youth advocacy, particularly counseling, mental health, awareness, and also mentoring.
Okay, so how did you get into that?
Just from being an educator, I was in the education system for a number of years, and just throughout my journey, and also I used to be a coach.
Okay.
So just for a way for me to get a deeper connection with my students and student athletes, I was like, man, let me get my counseling and let me try to break down some of those barriers. And just in the process of that, I try to stay in education as long as I could. But as you're laughing, you understand what I mean.
I'm feeling you for real, dude. That's crazy.
So there's a certain bureaucracy that comes with that,
That's
right?
right.
So, and I got tired of being well, let me make sure I phrase this right.
Go ahead,
I
take it.
appreciated it and I welcomed it as
Right.
far as people, requesting for, my services and just, what I had to offer. But it was like, wow, I'm the last resort.
Right.
Why not, connect me at the beginning of the school year rather than the end?
Right.
So I wanted to be a independent contractor that still maintain a relationship with the school system and stay connected with the youth. So now I'm just, coming in and, you know, pushing out my services.
That's great because it's obvious that that was inside of you, and it's always hard when there's something inside of you just burning to get out, and you can't really figure out how to get it out. You're doing it a little bit at your job, but you're not doing it till its full potential, and you actually got out and did that. And I definitely feel you. It's definitely better to be proactive than to be the last resort because by then it's like, wow, there's so much I could have done for this. And even after you do it a few times, people are still like, no, we'll wait. I mean, it's
Right. Right.
definitely what it is. I feel you on that. Mental health has become very, very popular now. I think it started to grow in its popularity, and then the pandemic made it a must for people. How has that affected you? Has that made your business grow faster, or has it made you somebody in more demand? What's that done for you?
Honestly, in a way, I feel like I was blessed. I kind of got, ahead of the ball
Okay.
just from, just kind of the way I maneuver. So it really didn't affect me too much. I just had to, switch from being in person to go to virtual.
Okay.
But I say the need came, but at the same time, mental health service became very saturated.
Yes.
So it's like, hey, it's good because the need is there,
Right.
but as far as like the quality of service, and are you really able to connect
Right.
with the audience?
That's big. That's big. I know years ago I jumped into educational consulting. And when I jumped in, there wasn't a lot of guys out there doing it. And it was kind of lucrative, but we had to book our own engagements. And I was doing okay. I was growing, but then it's just all of a sudden everybody was out there doing the same thing I was doing. But most of them were not teachers like I was. So these guys didn't have education background, they didn't have the experience, they didn't have the degrees, and they were going out there making way more money than I was, but they were also not getting results. So a lot of schools started to say, we don't really need a consultant because y'all are just gonna come and talk. And I'm like, but I'm the real deal. And they're like, nah, well, we good. So it's a problem with that competition, and this is very popular today to have competition that shouldn't even be competing with you.
I'm saying
They're
right.
getting out there first, and I have to say, even though we are on a social media platform right now, that social media has helped to make that happen because all they have to have is a better ad or a better video, and they get caught out there first. And so people aren't really looking now at the experience or the depth that you go through. They're just looking at, hey, we had somebody, you're somebody else. So I'm hoping listeners that y'all get that together. Go ahead. What was you gonna say?
I have something to add to that. And I definitely did not want to cut you off at all, but I just had to speak to that. I kind of equate it to outreach and community engagement.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like the ones you said may have a better marketing campaign. That's more outreach,
Right.
which outreach is good. It's like, hey, look, I'm out here.
Right.
Get the visibility, get the attention, and everything else. But what about the community engagement? Those of us that are really engaged and we understand what's going on, we may not have that marketing presence,
Right.
but that doesn't soil down, you know, our value.
That's right. That's right. That it's a lot. It's nice to be able to be flashy or to be able to pull people in, but you got to be able to hold them, and you have to be able to deliver what you're promising to deliver. And I think that I'm hoping that that's starting to come back around as people start to realize that, just like they've been saying for years, everything that glitters isn't gold, man. It's not what you think it is. So we need to start paying attention to that again. And I hope that that's really something that we start to look at again, quality, because quality seems to be missing in a lot of areas of our lives right now. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to see that be number one again. So CJ Ward Creations. I don't have any idea what that is, but I'm excited to hear about that. Tell me about that.
So CJ Hood Creations, it started April 10th of 2016.
Okay.
During that year, which was actually a leap year,
Okay.
as this year, I had just literally blown out my knees. Like I blew out both knees, like working out with the kids and just engaging, and it put me down for a minute. wasn't able to,
Mhm.
wasn't able to walk for real.
Wow.
So, one of my first loves was art. So I was doing so much work in the path of education, I kind of got away from my true passions.
Wow.
I was finally, forced to sit down, and I got back with art, but I was like, I still have this education piece. So what can I do in this, meantime to make myself, still live a rational life, more productive life.
Right.
Let me go ahead and marry the two, and I came up with CG Ward Creations. So it's an art and education business.
So give us an example of what kind of stuff we might see from this company.
So literature is one. I have a number of publications. Definitely feel free to check it out at your leisure. You have, faith based. You have my first book was about literacy,
Okay.
specifically with young black males. You have projects that are dedicated to military veterans, even those that suffer from PTSD.
Okay.
There's a series for young girls. Um, and a few other works. Like I
Wow.
said, feel free to check it out. But you have the literature, you have art as fine as fine art,
Right.
and I also started this bracelet line called Beads of Faith, which the premise of this, anytime these beads connect, you're not alone. So that also ties into the counseling piece as well.
Man, it
So
sounds like you covered every inch. I mean, just before you even got to the bracelets, the different people that you're saying you doing things for, you're touching a lot of places that are needs. Okay. You said literacy for black young men, you have stuff for girls, you have all this stuff. What is causing this to come out? I mean, I know everybody has their thing, and sometimes we get pigeonholed into one thing and we just do it, but it seems like during your time out, you just said, okay, let's bring it all in. Whatever it is that comes to me, I'm gonna push it out. How does that work in your world, and how did that really come to materialize from just one little idea?
faith without works is dead. So I was at a space where, uh, like I said, I was doing a few things, education, coaching, and also with group homes as well. I felt like I kept hitting a ceiling, and I'm like, hey, I have so much more to give. Why are you just keeping me at this one place?
Right.
So one of my loves is architecture. So I'm like, let me go ahead and create a foundation and a design rather than if I'm like getting blocked from
Right.
pushing up, let me expand and then build up on each of those. And eventually I'm gonna push that ceiling open.
Okay. That sounds great. You reminded me of, I'm not sure if you know this actor, Donald Glover. Also goes by Childish Gambino and all that. But this guy is an actor, a stand-up comedian, a rapper, and a singer. And they were asking him on an interview, why are you doing all of this stuff? I mean, because he wasn't out a long time. He came out and he was doing it all. And he said he grew up Jehovah's Witness and they couldn't do anything. So now he's just doing it all. It's like, you know what? Somebody was holding me back, and now they're not holding me back anymore. And I'm doing everything. And I've sort of felt the same way that if I have these talents inside me, let's go ahead and try. Let's go ahead and see what we can do and knock it out. I mean, who knows? I don't think anybody who got out, who started first, knew that they were going to get as high as they were going to get. And if especially for people like us, whose our creations and our talents are to work for the greater good of the community, then we definitely have to get out there and just do whatever we can do. And that's basically how this show started. I just kept hearing black males or this and that, and they were all negative. And I was like, I know black males. I know a lot of fellas that are good. So let's battle that. Let's get out there and show people, hey, nah, this is a good guy right here. And to even define what good guys are, because in other races, you can do stuff and still be a good guy. You have all kinds of other stuff going on.
Right.
Look at guys. So I'm like, hey, let's get them out there. So I really feel, and I'm glad you're doing that. I'm definitely wanting to encourage you in that. I know that a lot of us sometimes as creators don't get the encouragement, and sometimes if it wasn't for our art, we wouldn't be encouraged to keep moving at all. So definitely want to encourage you to keep on with that, because that's great, and it's a wonder to be out there touching everybody, and people don't feel like you're leaving this group out. And I'm sure if you find another thing that you can do, we probably jump on that as well. So that's great. That's great. So you're an author, you said, right?
Correct.
An artist. So are there things that kids come to do with you? Do you still coach? Do you still bring kids in to expose them to your art, to expose them to what the joy of art is, or the history of art? How does that work out?
I try to cover that when I do my mentoring sessions right now.
Okay.
I'm still doing counseling, but I've kind of backed away a little bit from that because I wanted to have more of an engagement with the youth. So during those sessions, of course, I include art. There's a number of places that I had contracts with, like the Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, and a few other local agencies. But I think art is one of those things that's universal.
Yeah.
And I think it can unite. So
Right.
regardless of whether you're a young black male, young black sister, Caucasian, male or female, we're still able to connect just from using certain mediums of self-expression.
That's great. That's great. And it doesn't really matter what your ethnicity is. There's art in your past. I mean, everywhere. I was blessed to be able to go see the pyramids in Egypt, and just going down there and seeing hieroglyphics and all the drawings and stuff. It's like, man, this is way before I was even thought of. Anybody who I know was thought of, and it's still art, and we're still trying to convey thoughts and feelings and everything through the same medium. So it's good to see where it comes from. And like I said, no matter what your ethnicity is, it's there somewhere in your past. So you're bringing something back through kids, things that they might not even know happened in their past. But it's something that's been there from the beginning. So that's a real positive thing. Tell me this. I know you're in Louisville, and Louisville is, if it's not the belt buckle of the Bible Belt, it is as close as possible.
It's on the Mason-Dixon line.
Right.
So.
Right. I lived in Nashville for a while, and I got a lot of friends in Louisville. In fact, I just spoke to a good friend from Louisville a couple of hours ago. So I'm wondering, what kinds of things did you find as obstacles coming up as a young black man who wanted to do more than what you were doing, more than just be the coach at the school and the teacher? What kind of things were there, if any, that were trying to hold you back from that?
Honestly, I don't know how to speak other than be authentic, but the jealousy and envy of of certain counterparts.
Right.
I'll just say that systems, of course, definitely the Bible Belt and the Mason-Dixon line is real even to this day. So if you don't know your history, of course you're going to repeat it,
Right.
or you can be persuaded to continue the same path.
Okay.
So I would say some of the roadblocks that I've had was I came in as a transplant.
Okay.
And a lot of times when you come in to a certain area as a transplant, depending on the region of the country,
Right.
sometimes they're like, you got to pay your dues. We don't know you.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Which, is understanding, but for the sake of like if you don't know the person's path or what they've already been through, they may have already paid their dues, right?
Yeah.
So, there's a thing that I say, especially when I go to to new areas.
Mhm.
There's two ways that I can definitely see how a place moves
Okay.
or operates. Just, follow me if you will.
Well, go ahead. Go for it. Do you think?
One is the way the traffic moves,
Okay.
because people are, in the comfort of the vehicle and, they drive accordingly.
Right.
And then how the women move. Because oftentimes the women are a reflection of how the men move, especially in business.
Okay.
Um, and just throughout my journey, uh, I also say this. So think about, you have the coastal areas,
Right.
and then you have the inland spots, right? Most of the coastal areas, they're used to import and export
Right.
of business and new ideas. But mostly in the inland spots, it's more local. Like, this is what we know. It's hard for people to change.
Yeah.
The mentalities are the mentalities.
Right.
So as I traveled around, I found that I was more receptive to those areas that were more open to import and exported business.
Right.
In those areas where I felt like I kept, bumping the ceiling, it was more of a local thing. Does that
Right.
make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense to me. That makes perfect sense because those people inside are living in a bubble, and it's that bubble, and they know nothing outside of that. So everything is right or wrong as this bubble goes.
Right.
So the people on the outside, they're moving and shaking. They're going to other places. They're realizing, oh, the way I act here, I can't act there. I can't do this there. I can't do that. So yeah, and once you've stepped outside, you're not a bubble person anymore.
Right.
Not, it's not fun to bring the non-bubble dude back into the bubble. What are he talking about? Trying to shake stuff up. And I mean, I try to explain this to kids all the time that you might think something is weird, like putting mayonnaise on French fries might seem strange to you because you've always put ketchup on it. But if I take you to France, they're going to think ketchup is weird on there. They're going to like, no, we put mayonnaise on it. And now you're the weird one because you're in a place where this is normal. And that happens in a lot of different things. It happens with religions, it happens with foods, it happens with cultures, the way you do things. And if you don't have an appreciation for outside culture, or at least an attitude of acceptance that, oh, that's something different, not, oh, what is that? Then you live in a bubble and you're stuck in that bubble. And so I definitely feel you. That makes a lot of sense. Louisville is one of those places that I know had a lot of problems with Black people and cops, like LA and everywhere else. And so, have you seen any changes as far? I mean, I know they keep saying that the things are like out in the open now. Like people know, they're saying yes, it is true. There is a problem here with cops and Black people, and they're doing unfairly treating them. Has there been any changes? And if so, how have those changes affected you and what you're doing now?
All right, let me let me get started with that. So, you know, my my experience with law enforcement has been rather interesting. I'll
Okay.
say that. And before I can answer that question, I really got to take you through, some of my past
Take your time, man. Do your thing.
dealings. So, my first time experiencing um, a policeman using their authority, if you will,
Yeah.
uh, in a negative space. I was in Evansville, Indiana, with my cousin, and we just came from the mall. We were about to go get something to eat, and we're walking through the parking lot, and there was a cruiser pulled up. He got out, asked us for IDs, and we're just walking to
Right.
this restaurant to get some food. He ran our IDs. He was like, "No, there's a problem. Like, none of you are in the system."
Wow.
But I'm at 14. I really don't like my perspective of cops before that was the DARE program in
Right.
elementary. So I'm thinking, I'm like, man, the police it seem like they're cool. They're supposed to protect and
Right.
serve. Actually, a policeman was the first one that showed me how to shoot a gun,
Wow.
like a BB gun. So, and I actually won that competition too.
Wow.
Some people,
Yeah,
but
man, then yeah, okay.
so so from that experience at 14, kind of changed my perspective. I'm like, in the system, like it really didn't click. It
Right.
didn't click until I was harassed again by the police, which was when I went to Fayetteville, Arkansas, when I was, a Razorback. I experienced it there, and then I transferred and went to University of Texas. I experienced it there.
Wow.
I was actually lured into a garage. My family came down for my birthday during Texas Relays. We're at the Embassy Suites. I go into the garage to get the vehicle so I can pick my sisters up at the entrance. I see, policemen at like both ends of the
Wow.
parking structure. And I'm like, hey man, like what's going on? Like, is it okay for me to go in? And I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead and go in. I'll go get the vehicle. By the time I get to the first story or the first floor, there's 7 guns drawn on me. So, and my thing, even with that, I was like, first of all, y'all put me in a situation. Y'all say there was a robbery, somebody at gunpoint,
Right.
but you all freely told me to go into this structure. Then I go into the structure and I come down, and then you're pulling your guns on me. So if I didn't, if I think if I would have acted in a scared way,
Right.
they would have probably shot me up.
All right.
But at the same time, I stood up for myself and made sure that I could do what I could do in that situation. But I experienced that there, and then from then, I mean, there's been certain occasions where I've had issues with those that kind of abuse their power.
Right. Right.
But like with Louisville, I was here for 10 years from 2006 to 2016. But then I kind of was like, hey, it's time for me to venture out.
Right.
So it was during the time where I blew my knees out, so I
Right.
could literally barely walk. And I was like, what y'all on right now, as far as like a system and like certain things, I was like, I could barely walk, but I'm about to move all my stuff. I went to, I ended up going to Dallas, and I was there for some time. Yeah, I mean that says a lot. So uh, I could have went back to my hometown and stayed there for a while, but then again, I have experience with policemen in that region. So I'm like, I don't feel safe here. So you got the residents. If you don't know about Marshall County, look that up. I mean, it's the largest flag I've ever seen in my life,
Right.
right outside, like, that's a Confederate flag
Okay.
right outside of McCracken County. So it's Marshall County, you have this huge flag, then you go into McCracken County.
Okay.
So it's kind of a testament to say, hey, this is where you're coming. Like, you need to know your area.
Right.
So, instead of going to, like I said, a place that should have been my hometown, I go to Dallas. I stay there for 6 months. At the time, I just didn't feel that, like I said, I could barely walk. And there was certain things I was still in recovery.
That's a lot.
So I was like, maybe it's not the right time for me to be mobile. Let me go back, get my grounding, and then, I can move forward.
Right.
So, went to a few other places. I'm still going to answer your question. Went to Lexington, had my experience there. Went to Tulsa, Oklahoma for the centennial of the race massacre. That's a whole nother conversation. But I did all that, came back to Louisville, and one of my good friends that I met, he was a volunteer coach at Spalding University
Okay.
when I was doing my master's, and I was doing a graduate assistantship with the track team. So that's how we met. He was like, "Hey, you do counseling. A lot of these, officers, law enforcement, they could use, services.
Wow.
Putting together this wellness center for, law enforcement and also other, first responders. He was like, maybe you should come through. And I'll introduce you to everybody. So even when my experience uh, with law enforcement may not have been the best, I
Right.
was like, hey man, we all human. Somebody may have chose this profession. I chose this
Right.
other. But at the same time, like if you're going to be patrolling the community, I need to see where your mind is.
Right. There you go.
But for whatever reason, uh, I wasn't selected to be part of that. For whatever reason. For whatever
Right.
reason.
Right.
But I will say this, like I said, one of my former track athletes, he went to the academy and he just came out over the last summer.
Okay.
I have, like I said, the good friend from Spalding University, Malcolm Miller, great guy. I'm connected with some of these guys, but as far as like a whole,
Right.
I mean, once again, Louisville, Kentucky, Breonna Taylor.
Right. Right.
So
Right. And
we
that's
still have a
that's
long way to go.
that's where all the questions come from. I mean, it's funny that Louisville is the place that I had my best experience with a cop, and maybe it's because of that program. I don't know, but I was very scared when we got pulled over in Louisville. Well, we didn't get pulled over. The guy who I was with, his wife, he says that his wife and I had the car, and then he got the car and came and picked me up. No gas, and so we're trying to go get the gas, and we run out of gas on the highway, right by the Yum Center, like over that area. And I was like, "What are we gonna do?" He said, "Well, I guess we gotta walk to the gas station." Okay, cool. We get out and start walking, and a police car pulls up, and I'm like, "This is Louisville, dude. Like, here I am, a boy from the South Bronx. I mean, I'm already not a fan, but it's Louisville where it goes down." And so I'm trying not to talk because as soon as I speak, people know where I'm from. So I'm like, I'm not saying anything. And cop comes and he says, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And we tell him, and he says, "Okay, hold on a minute." And he goes back in his car, and my friend says to me, "Hey, man, I got my gun on me." And I was like, "Oh, we going to jail." and the cop comes back and he says, "Hey, you have any weapons on you? Anything?" My friend says, "Yes, I have a carry permit and this and the other." So he checks it out, puts us in the car, takes us to get our gas, brings us back. We fill the car up, and he watches until we start the car and we pull off. And I was, you got to be kidding me. Like, I don't even post real life stuff like that most of the time. And I had to post it on Facebook because I was like, this happened in Louisville, man. It's crazy. This time from Louisville with two black guys walking down the street, so walking on the highway. So it can happen, but it's few and far between. And I've had a lot of issues being pulled over. Never anything happening after being pulled over, but a lot of questions, a lot of harassment. And I know that, like you said, sometimes the way you act may have gotten you out of it, but we also know other people who acted in a similar fashion and did not. So it's always an issue, and it's always something that's in the back of our mind. But look, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be back, ladies and gentlemen, with CJ Roy.
Brian J.T. Watts is the owner and founder of the Brian Watts and Just Let Me Teach companies. During his time as an administrator and as an international instructor, he has viewed education from various vantage points. His life and professional experiences have equipped him with object lessons, logic, stories, and an appropriate humor that he utilizes to enhance presentations and connect with the audience. He is also a multifaceted educational consultant that provides seminars for parents and motivational experiences for students. Additionally, he offers classroom management, student engagement, and new faculty seminars, which are professional development seminars for teachers. As you know, he has a wide variety of services to offer, but today we are focusing on his parent seminars. There are many reasons why parents need this seminar. Schools and education has been enhanced greatly by professional development for teachers and improving students, textbooks, technology, and the list goes on and on. Unfortunately, someone forgot about informing the parents. The seminars are based off the book he authored, How to Help Your Children Help Themselves. His program will educate parents on some of the things that are going on in our schools today. He will discuss school choice, relationships with teachers, and most importantly, the relationships with your children in education. So, if you are a parent or decision maker at your school or school district, please consider hosting How to Help Your Children Help Themselves seminar. He would love to come and talk with you, and let's get the parenting back into education.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Still here with CJ Ward. Listen, man, I'm having a great time. I just love to sit around and vibe with brothers. So I didn't realize that that's what this show was doing for me as well, because I get to sit down and have some real talk, some real time with guys from different parts of the country. And it seems that no matter where you're from, we always have enough in common with our struggles to be like, oh yeah, I feel you. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know what's going on. So tell me this. What's the future for CJ Ward now? I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on. I know you're going to probably continue with that. But is there anything now, after you have been able to express your creative side by helping, by showcasing art and things of that nature, is there anything else that you feel like, okay, I got to get this out, something else I have to express that I need the world to see?
At least, personally and professionally, I'm all about, especially right now, about mentorship. I think that, the country's, gotten away from apprenticeships
Right.
in many respects. So, trying to create, opportunities for those that, hey man, I don't know what to do, at least right now, but I still have, this set of skills. So trying to create opportunities and safe spaces for many individuals. But then also, I am looking forward to hopefully getting to the big screen
Okay.
and, trying to get those messages out to a larger audience. But, I'm literally taking one day at a time and, just leading with my faith
Right.
and, just taking one step at a time.
Now, when you say get to the big screen, you mean as far as commercials or movies or TV shows? What exactly do you mean by that? Because I don't know who's listening, so I want them to hear exactly what you're talking about.
I say the sky's the limit. I'm ready to go into that, just to space. So
Okay.
whether it be the big screen with films,
Right.
plays, like I
Right.
said, art is truly my passion.
Okay.
But even commercials and other things of that nature.
Okay. So since you said that, I'm going to reveal something because I don't usually talk about this, but I've been acting for years, but on a small level, like school plays and church plays and things like that. So I've always been like, yeah, I'll take that step, to something else. And there's been a few things that came by, but the opportunities didn't work out. So that's something I would love to do as well. And I'm also, always ready to jump into any voiceovers and things like that, things that can really get you out there. So I definitely feel you on that. And that's an expression I think that a lot of people aren't aware of, that a lot of people have, because people just don't talk about it. Everybody's like, yeah, I'm not going to blow up to being a star now. I'm such and such age, or this, that, and the other. But and even they were talking about Samuel Jackson, how he started real late. Well, I'm past the age he was. So I'm like, I'm not still looking at it. But I'm actually writing a book right now that I really want to do as a one-man show. And that's the thing that I haven't said to a lot of people. So I like to hear it from other people. It kind of encourages me to go ahead and jump out there. So as soon as I finish the book and get the book out, I want to start touring and, just doing this one-man show, which is, to me, insane, because to be on stage by yourself and you're not introducing anybody else the whole show, that's a lot, So it's a lot of interest you got to keep. And I mean, I think I can do it some days, but some days I'm like, So it is not. It's not a confidence thing. It's just a reality. It's like, wow, you know what? That might be 90 minutes, and 5 minutes sounds like a long time when you're on stage by yourself. So, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we'll both be able to get to these points, and we'll be able to sit back, on your private jet and laugh about all of this after you've blown up and you're the new guy on I don't know what show it'll be, but then we'll sit down and laugh about that day we was gonna come together, talking like we wasn't gonna do nothing, and we did.
I appreciate that, brother. Dude.
I'm putting it down now so that we can look back. Everybody like, hey, pull that up. So what can people that are not in Louisville do now to receive anything that you do, to receive your art? Do you do mentorship outside of Louisville? Any online stuff? Anything that people can engage in with you? What is that's available right now?
Please feel free to visit cjwardcreations.com. You'll find a lot of my services there, a lot of products, a lot of merch. And then, I got, Daily Discipline, which while you were talking about doing the show, I'm like, man, I'm over ready to encourage you, like, do that. Because I think the world needs to see it. So, you got inspiration there, the counseling, mental health, mentorship. Like I said, cjwardcreations.com. And, I definitely work outside of Louisville, just from, my experience. I'm open to not only just, national and stateside, but internationally as well.
Okay.
So if anybody sees my works, they like to, put books into the local,
Right.
bookstores, definitely feel free to connect with me, and let's make a difference together.
Okay, that sounds great, man. Listen, it has been a pleasure. I think you have a podcast too, don't you?
Correct, Daily Discipline. So I had a podcast called A Conscientious Conversation, which was part of a doctoral dissertation. That was which we'll have to connect on that. That was a byproduct of me moving around so much. That was the reason for that.
Ooh.
But currently I do have a podcast called Daily Discipline, which I would love to have you on. I feel that come to your show. I'm definitely supportive of you. I'm looking at your intros and your videos. I'm like, man, this guy's what's up right here, man. Like, I feel an honor to be on here, man. So, I would definitely welcome you to be a guest.
No
I would like
question,
to hear
no
your
question.
perspective and get a little bit more of your backstory.
Right.
And like I said, man, just keep working together and encouraging each other.
Listen. Since you've been talking, I've thought of a whole bunch of stuff. So we will definitely be doing that. And if nothing else, I said this last year, and a lot of things just went crazy after that. But I would love to do a come together tour where in different cities I can have the guys that were on the show, come up and we can speak and we can mentor and motivate and all of that stuff. Because truthfully, this medium that we're on now, it's going to hit some people and people are going to find out. But there's nothing like being live and living color with people, touching people and, saying, hey, I've been through that. And the more people, to me, on stage with you or the more people involved, the more somebody's going to connect with somebody. Everybody's not going to connect with me. They don't have the same stories I do. But somebody's going to see you and say, okay, that guy, I understand what he's saying. And, I'd love to do that. So we'll definitely keep in touch. Look, I'm ready. Whenever you're ready to have me on the show, I'm ready to be there. So let me know what's up, and we'll definitely get together. But thank you so much for coming out. Appreciate you, brother. And ladies and gentlemen, you got the website. You have all of his information. Go ahead and check him out. See what that art is about. Might be something you need to hang up in your house. And, the mentoring and everything, I'm sure somebody out there can use it. So we will get back with you, man. Thanks so much for coming out, and we'll definitely stay in touch, all right?
One second, bro. I got to say this.
Oh, don't go for it.
You said I was the first one that was referred to you.
All right.
Literally, all of the work that I've been doing, specifically since 2016, you were the first male, especially African-American male, to invite me to do a podcast. The other shows and other interviews that I've had, it's been mostly women that invited me to come on. So for you, hey man, I literally tip my hat and I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on here.
No doubt. We got to say shout out to Ariana for all of this, man. So No doubt. Thank you
Right.
so much, man. We'll definitely get with you, man. So have a great night. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Absolutely, man. Take care. Be encouraged.
Peace.